additions or deletions to the agenda tonight? All right, we can continue on. First item is a presentation. It's the resolution urging the reduction or elimination of the use of single-use plastic. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
Yes, in honor of Earth Day, the Environmental Citizens Committee, Councilor Grafstein and Councilman Bliss have requested Council consider the adoption of a resolution urging the reduction of single-use plastic whenever possible. And then after, we have 6 short steps that the residents can use to implement this in their own homes. So whereas the City of Madison Heights, Michigan is committed to environmental consciousness and leadership, whereas the city finds that it is in the public interest, safety, and welfare to reduce litter and pollutants in the city, and single-use plastic objects pose an environmental hazard to the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens and visitors of the city. Whereas some 106 million metric tons, about 45% of the world's plastics set for recycling, have been exported to China since reporting to the United Nations Comtrade database beginning in 1992. In 2017, China passed a national sword policy banning plastic waste from being imported for the protection of their environmental and people's health, beginning in January of 2018. Whereas the United States alone has sent 26.7 million tons of plastic out of the country for recycling between 1988 to 2016, and by 2030, an estimated 111 million metric tons of plastic waste will be displaced because of China's new law. Whereas discarded plastic objects contribute to the tonnage total and also constitute a portion of the litter on the city's streets, parks, and public places. And whereas the use and distribution of single-use plastic objects has a detrimental effect on the city, state, and nation's environment, and the city finds that there are reasonable, environmentally friendly alternatives to single-use plastic, and there are compostable and reusable alternatives to plastic bags, utensils, dinnerware, plastic bottles, and containers. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Madison Heights urges the residents and businesses to reduce the use, provision, distribution, or sale of plastic utensils, dinnerware, and containers, and to seek to replace them with compostable or reusable alternatives. Be it further resolved that single-use plastics should be eliminated or reduced throughout the city, including at any city facility or any city-sponsored event whenever feasible. And we have a short presentation with the 6 items that a resident can implement in their own home. So first is to bring your own shopping bag. These flimsy shopping bags that you see in orange are oftentimes free, but they have a high environmental cost and are one of the most dangerous forms of garbage. So bring your own reusable bag. It's common practice to do, and it's also good environmental advice. In addition to the bigger carry-all bags, you can further reduce waste by bringing your own reusable produce bag and skipping putting your produce in those plastic bags altogether. Second, stop buying bottled water, and you'll notice all of council is now using reusable containers. So unless some kind of contamination crisis is in effect, plastic water bottles are an easy target for reducing waste. Speaking of refillable, bring your own thermos or for to-go-to coffee. It's another way to reduce plastic footprint. Disposable coffee cups might look like paper, but they're usually lined with polyurethane, a type of plastic resin. The theory that these materials can be recycled, but most places a lack of infrastructure to do so. Then there's also lids, stirrers, and coffee vendors with straws and polyurethane foam cups. Next is whether for home use or whether you're ordering a drink at a restaurant, a plastic straw is often a very easy thing to eliminate and just deny, and those clog up our oceans and also the recycling machines. You can skip use of a disposable razor, instead switching to one that you can actually change the blades on, or even going to a straight razor. And last but not least, simply rethink your food storage. So instead of wrapping your food in plastic bags or saran wrap, try glass containers or any type of container that can be washed and reused. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Marsh. Any comments from City Council? There's no action necessary.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, please.
One of the things that wasn't mentioned in the resolution is the cost for single-use plastics. Whereas if you pick up the bag one time, or you buy these wonderful reusable water bottles, 2 for $20 or 1 for $12, on sale right now outside of this council chamber. Benefits do go to raise additional arts programming in the city, sold by the Arts and Culture Board. And so when you buy that, the one time, you never have to spend that again. And so what people typically don't see, if you're in the audience, is this tray right here. There's about, 8 of them on this table. They normally have plastic water bottles on them. This is the very first meeting that there is no single-use plastic water bottles, and so every one of those bottles, yeah, thank you, one clap. Those plastic water bottles were not just additional waste that is clogging up our recycling and piling up. It's really loud in here, sorry. I'm going to try to talk softer. So that was also a budget cost. So every single time that those single-use plastic bottles were out in city buildings, and they were purchased with tax dollars. And so I'm really happy that not only have we been able to do away with them wherever applicable in city buildings, but also I love the fact that Councilor Grafstein, the rest of the ECC is out there really educating the public on what this means and how we can do better, not just simply by recycling, but by reducing the amount that we're consuming on those plastics. Because what most people don't understand is that those plastics, they're not typically being reused. Since China has ceased receiving any of the United States' plastic, it's mostly just piling up right now. And there's not much that we can do other than simply not using it.
Other comments?
I just want to add that the 3 R's are reduce, and then reuse and recycle. So every time we choose to use something that we're going to reuse, whether it's glass or it's reusable plastic, that's helping. So the first thing is to reduce. So.
Thank you.
Aluminum.
Any other comments? All right, thank you. We can continue on the agenda. We have public hearings tonight. There's a tax abatement request from Larston Investments, the Edward W. Duffy and Company. It's located at 3200 Stevenson Highway. First, there will be reports from Melissa Marsh. Then we'll do public hearings on this issue. Mrs. Marsh?
A new business, TKL Investments, or Edward W. Duffy and Company, is seeking an abatement of new real property taxes at 30200 Stevenson Highway. They have requested that City Council consider creating an industrial development district and granting an industrial tax abatement under the provisions of Public Act 198, 1974, as amended for real property. TKL Investment, Edward W. Duffy and Company, is a specialized service center of mechanical tubing and pipe. They are proposing to demolish the existing light industrial structure at 30200 Stevenson and erect a new 34,500 square foot structure. The total value of the current project is estimated at $4.5 million. The estimated tax savings to the applicant over the 10-year abatement period is estimated at $467,000 for all taxing jurisdictions, including $189,000 from city tax revenues at 2018 rates. The current taxes received for summer and winter for all taxing jurisdictions is $37,000. The applicant has stated that the company has approximately 15 to 20 full-time jobs that would also be relocating to Madison Heights. So this actually requires 2 public hearings. The first public hearing would be to consider the establishment of the Industrial Facilities Development District specific for this parcel. And the second public hearing is to consider granting the Industrial Facilities Tax Exemption Certificate within the district. And I would just make note that even with the exemption that we are asking council to approve, the taxes to the city would still go up almost $7,000 a year. So, and I think representatives are here tonight from the companies if council has any questions.
Okay, thank you for that report. I open the public hearing. to consider the establishment of an industrial facilities development district. If there's anyone that would like to discuss the establishment of an industrial facilities development district, now is the public hearing, now is the time to speak. All right, no one's asked to be recognized for the public hearing. I close the public hearing. What's the wish of City Council regarding the establishment of an industrial facilities development district?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move that the council approve the establishment of an industrial facilities development district for the property at 30200 Stevenson, Larston Investments, and Edward Duffy and Company.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Grafstein?
support.
Thank you. Motion was made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilor Grafstein, to establish the Industrial Facilities Development District at 30200 Stevenson Highway regarding the Larson Investments, Edward Duffy and Company. Is there a discussion from council on this matter?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, please.
I do have a question. Could you could anybody specify if there is a termination clause on the abatement, like the starting point and the ending point? Because usually we used to go with 10 years, didn't we?
Mr. Mayor, it is for 10 years.
Okay.
So it would be expiring in 2029 is the proposed year that it
All
would
right.
end.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there other discussion?
Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Just a question. I know we have representatives in the audience. I'm really appreciative in the size of the investment into the property. I'm also excited that it's raising an additional $7,000 a year in tax revenue, as noted. But one of the more indirect but still tangible benefits would be the amount of foot traffic coming into the city. So that's those, I think, 15 to 20 jobs that were noted. And I'm also curious as to how many external visitors that they would typically get to the site. So if they have a retail component or a high amount of out-of-town partnerships and things that would require probably local hotel stays and frequenting of our restaurants.
Mr. Mayor, I would ask if there's a representative in the audience you can.
Well, regarding the amount of traffic?
Yeah, just an understanding, because that is a really tangible benefit towards moving forward with something like this to our community.
Welcome. Good evening, sir.
Hi, I'm Tom Larson. I'm the owner of Edward Duffy Company. To answer your question about foot traffic, we do have quite a bit of people that come in, typically at least 4 to 5 people that walk in the door, in the front door, buy tubing. Outer-towners, we have multiple people that come in from out of state, representing them from other steel mills and stuff like that.
Okay. So you said 4 to 5, is that a day or a week that you were?
No, it's per day.
That's per day.
Usually per day. And, our product is a pretty unique product. It's not something that you find typically on anybody's shelf. We carry up to 9,000 different sizes of tubing. James Steel is down the street. There's steel tubing mill. They produce square and rectangle tubing. Our forte is round, mechanical tube, hydraulic cylinders, specialized stuff like that. We carry tubing from a hypodermic needle size tube, which is, pretty small, all the way up to a 48-inch piece of tubing on the floor, from various wall thickness, from 0.35 to a 4-inch wall.
Thanks for joining us. What were some of the advantages of relocating to Madison Heights?
Foot traffic. We feel being close to 75, we're going to pick up a lot more business. Right next to the freeway, we're going to be able to get our trucks in and out a lot faster, make our deliveries quicker. We have a lot of clientele that is on we call it the east side, which is Madison Heights, Warren,
Sure.
Oakland County area, compared to where we were located at in Detroit.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Any other questions from City Council? Would you like to make any other comments?
No, I just excited to come.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion from council? All right, this is a motion was made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilor Grafstein to establish the Industrial Facilities Development District. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. We have a second public hearing. Is there any report, or can we go right into it?
Yep, go right into it.
All right, there's a second public hearing. So I open the public hearing. It's the public hearing to consider granting an industrial facilities tax exemption certificate. So right now is the opportunity for anyone to speak. You can come to the microphone. If you want to talk about granting an industrial facilities tax exemption certificate, that is the subject you can speak on right now. Would anyone like to come up? No one is asked to be recognized. Last chance. Public hearing's closed. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I move that the council grant an industrial facilities tax exemption certificate, again relative to the Edward Duffy and Company, located at 30200 Stevenson.
Thank you, sir. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Scott?
I second that.
Thank you. Motion was made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilwoman Scott, to grant the industrial facilities tax exemption certificate for 30200 Stevenson Highway, Edward Duffy and Company. What's the wish of city, I'm sorry, is there a discussion from City Council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just a question for the attorney, if I could, Mr. Sherman. As much as it's in bad taste to talk about prenuptial agreements, I guess I suppose maybe it's in poor taste sometimes to talk about clawback provisions, but perhaps you might briefly or in general discuss with the public how the public is made whole in the event of a failure of the parties to see this through.
Mr. Mayor?
And I'm sure that won't happen. But
Great question. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, since the council adopted its policy on industrial facilities exemptions, we have drafted and have had in place a letter of agreement which binds the company to live up to the promises, essentially, that it's made to the city. And it contains a clawback provision which allows us to recoup monies concerning abated taxes in the event the company does not live up to their responsibilities under the agreement. This is not a permissive thing. It's part of the package that they're required to sign. In this case, that agreement's already been signed by the applicant if council desires to approve the requested exemption. And the numbers that were quoted by City Manager Marsh in terms of additional taxes the city receives, as an aside, that's the city portion. The additional taxes are much more in addition for all taxing authorities beyond what's currently being received by the city and other taxing authorities based on the development that's there. So I'd say more recently, in the last, I'm going to say 3 to 5 years, we amended this this letter of agreement so that we're more protected, and this is, like I said, it's required of all applicants so that the city is protected in terms of a clawback if there's a problem.
Yeah, it was put in, there was a feeling, whether it was accurate or not, that the companies would go from town to town and take advantage of tax breaks, and then right before the time they would move on. So this was our answer. I think Mayor Hartwell actually was one of the motivators of that, to ensure that the process be modified, and we ensure that the agreement is lived up to by both parties, city and applicant. So that's all, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for raising that point. Other discussion from council? All right, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. Next on the agenda is meeting open to the public. This is the opportunity for anyone to address any subject. I'd please ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. I will politely ask you to conclude your remarks if you exceed that time limit. It's not required, but it's important for our records that if you give your full name, a mailing address, and any affiliation you may have. And please address your comments to me as the chair of the meeting, and just Welcome. Good evening, Mr. Thweet.
Okay, I'm not giving my address, I've refused to give it, and I don't have to give it. Name is Kenneth Thweet, Thweatt.
Welcome.
This is about animal control, number one. Animal control says they have a no-kill, situation that they're, building. Not true. I checked with Oakland County, and they do, once in a while, bring animals in to get killed. Okay, a few years ago, I brought the FBI in to investigate the city. Maybe it's time to bring the state in. Anytime you have money and the humans, you're going to have some corruption. I talked with Dana, Attorney General of Michigan, in regards to the animal control thing. She told me to keep in touch with her. At this point, she's using a lot of investigators on that raid that they have with Prosecutor Smith. And animal control, he told me that he has 3 dogs. He said he don't have hardly any knowledge of cats, how cats operate, which I believe that part. I went to the animal control building to check on the building itself. Julie was there as assistant, and if they caught any coyotes, as I mentioned, I've seen coyotes twice in different locations in the city. She said they're not qualified to catch coyotes, which shocked me. Then she said the coyotes are not dangerous. Okay? And then she got really nervous about investigating about the state. I mean, she was just all over herself. And once you start doing that, anybody knows. If they don't know, I'll tell you, I was investigating. If they don't know, the people start talking. Before they even know they're talking, they're telling you a lot of stuff. Now, she did tell me a few things, quite a bit of stuff. Because I can't release it now, I have to hold it to the side. And coyotes in this city has more freedom than citizens' pets. Now, something's wrong with that, but the only thing I can think of, you don't get money from the coyotes. You get money from citizens' pets. And that could be the reason, the money factor. But I've never seen it, let the coyotes run. If they're going to let them run, they're going to decrease in value, in size. They're not going to decrease. There's no question about that. I have seen dogs in herds run 15, 20 dogs early in the morning. I've seen it. So I know, and when they're that kind of crowd, they get more bolder. I don't blame them. And after I condemned the city, after I condemned the animal control officer in the animal control for their investigation on Boomer, I was harassed and belittled by an animal control officer. And I don't believe I should have to be harassed and belittled. I was born here in the city. I'm a former Vietnam service guy, former police officer, former deputy sheriff, and a senior. Now, after all that, see, we have to learn to give people some respect. What's happening is new, and I can understand that. Rookies are the worst police you can have. He's not a police, but the worst, because they can't control the situation with all that power. But to be harassed and be belittled by someone who's new in the department, it's no good. I mean, just show me some respect. But the way he talked to me, it was no respect. I don't know if you guys are animal control is trying to cut my freedom of speech. Now, it looks like it, because I'm getting harassed by animal control all of a sudden since I condemned their investigation. I thought it was done by a kindergarten, and I don't think they like that. But if you try to cut my freedom of speech, it won't happen. And we do have civil liberty. Now, the thing about this investigation, I shouldn't give all the information, but I know the attorney, any attorneys can vouch for me. When you're being questioned, if you think it's serious enough, or you're being arrested, keep your mouth shut and get an attorney. Am I right? You don't have to say right, just shake your head. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. Since the city been notified of coyotes in the city, if somebody does get bit, they will be in a heavy lawsuit, because I already talked to another attorney, and he said he'd be definitely willing to take the case. And I hate to see us get sued. I say us, because I love this city. I don't love what's going on in the city, but I love the city.
Do you have any concluding remarks, Ken?
Pardon me?
Do you have any concluding remarks?
No, what I'm gonna have, I already knew it. I don't mind you cutting me off, because I'll be back, I've got quite a bit.
Thank you.
So I'll be back next week, next meeting.
Good.
To hopefully get this thing through. But I'm just saying, if you people not listen to me, maybe not listen to me, anybody talks, maybe not listen to us. But you need to listen to us to learn something. And if you're not listening to us deeply, maybe you need to check in why coyotes are not caught. I mean, they're running free. And you people said, animal control says they don't do nothing. They can't catch it because they're not qualified. And the animal officer said he has no equipment whatsoever if he could catch it. Nobody gave him any equipment. So I'm through, I appreciate that right now, and I appreciate it, but I just hope we can get something straight here. Because one day, the animal control, she said they don't hurt anybody. Yeah, they do. They can. And they get hungry enough, any animal gets hungry enough, he'll attack whoever.
Thank you, Ken. Mr. Commissioner, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I want to, first of all, I got some flyers here that I'll give to Mark. Melissa?
I'll take it.
Clean up at Red Oaks Nature Center this coming Saturday. And I would invite all of the public to come and partake and try to keep our woods looking decent. Starts at 9 a.m. and runs till 12. And then we'll have lunch afterwards. That's on me. You need to park at the wave pool because as wet as the ground is, we won't have much parking there. So you can park at the wave pool and we'll have shuttle buses that'll bring you across over to the Nature Center. Also, I wanted to pass on to all of you and invite you to the Madison Heights Little Baseball Opening Day ceremonies, which will be on May 19th, that's a Saturday, at 10 a.m. sharp. So come on by and help us throw out the first pitch. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Hello, Miss.
Hi, my name is Christina Falk. I'm from Washington Township.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm not happy to be in the city. I am here only for Boomer and to support Boomer and to try and help save his life. Everyone that hears his story has the common sense to know it was a coyote. And I'm an animal lover, working to become a licensed wildlife rehabber. I know animals' behaviors. The way poor little Chubbs, which I am deeply saddened about, the way he was killed was by a coyote. And they're just trying to survive just like every other wildlife creature. We have to learn to coexist. Watch your pets. People freak out, but it's a sad situation. But Boomer would have had blood all over him. I know I'm repeating what people have said over and over, but I just don't get this. I don't understand why the case is not being dropped. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, cross country. You have so many people supporting Boomer, I'm a little nervous. And it's just such a bad taste in my mouth and so many others of your city for what you're doing. It's like I just found out my boyfriend's niece bought a house here. Yesterday I found out, and I'm like, you did not. And I don't want to be like that, but we have such a bad taste in our mouth of your city, and it's sad. I don't even want to step foot here, but I do because of Boomer. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you. Welcome. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Rose Atkins. You guys start the night off with the Pledge of Allegiance. At the very end of the Pledge of Allegiance, it says justice for all. It doesn't say justice for humans. It says for all. And that means animals too. Secondly, you call yourself Madison Heights City of Progress. To me, you're Madison Heights City of Intimidation. We are out there doing protests, and the cops came out there, and I'm sure you guys all know about it. And the cops told us, the chief of police told us to come out here. The chief of police saw you do this. What's going on with this chief of police? Is he sleeping with this Denmark? What's going on?
Stop.
Because-
You cannot make personal attacks. That's a
Okay.
wild allegation.
All right, okay.
Keep it high level, please.
Okay. Why is he picking up Denmark to come to the city council meetings? Isn't that taxpayers' money? Okay, I'm going to go back to this intimidation. There's something going on here with Corey Haynes. He was out to get me. The cops told me to tell everybody to go back behind the trees, to the tree line. I did what he told me. I walked back and I waved to him, okay, meaning I got it, I did it. Then he comes and writes me a ticket after I tried to do what you guys asked me to do. So I will be taking this to court. I'm not paying this ticket. The other guy paid the ticket. I told him not to. I will fight you all the way. And in the end, you're going to have a lawsuit against you because we have everything on video. Thank you. And Boomer's innocent, and if you don't set him free, we're not going to stop. We know he's innocent. It's a coyote.
Thank you, Rose. Welcome, Joanna.
Good afternoon to all. I'm Joanna Eggert. I'm here because I'm a little concerned about what's happening within my city, about Boomer. I took the time and the liberty to read the issue, and that's the resident of the city. Finding out that our taxpayer dollars has been spent, what, was it over $12,000? $13,000. That concerns me. I'm hoping that the city, our city council, I do know you cannot get involved, but when it comes to having protests in the city, it does not reflect great for those of us that live here. I came out twice to listen to the issues, and I'm deeply concerned. We have a lot of businesses in the area. Some of my friends own their businesses in the area, and they're talking. So I'm hoping that our judge and somehow the city council involvement can make a difference. Resolve the issue, spend no more of our taxpayer dollars. I see there are people from different cities coming to our city to protest. I'm concerned. So I'm hoping you guys somehow, some way, we can bring a peaceful resolution to a case where there is not enough sufficient evidence against the dog. Think about it. Perhaps our judge is listening. Come up with a better solution so that we're not spending any more of our taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome, Kim. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor,
Hi.
City Council. I'm actually here on behalf of Emma Green today to speak to you publicly. She requested that I read a little something for you guys. You may remember Emma Green when you guys passed the resolution to recognize the LGBTQ community. So she has a little add-on she would like you guys to hear about. Good evening, councilors, Mayor Pro Tem Bliss and Mayor Hartwell. I'm currently in Ohio finishing up my last stretch of classes leading into finals, but regardless, I wanted to bring a request before the council regarding the month of June as the LGBTQ+ Pride Month. Last year, this very council passed a resolution officially recognizing June as LGBTQ Pride Month in the city of Madison Heights. This year, I'd like the council to take this welcoming act a step further by raising a pride flag outside of city's municipal buildings. Last year, the decision to recognize the LGBTQ+ community struggles and achievements through a resolution was one step towards inclusion and equity. The next step is to proudly declare to all citizens and visitors of this town that we are accepting and supportive of all LGBTQ+ people, enough to proudly hoist the pride flag above the city. I would recommend that these pride flags be purchased from Affirmations in Ferndale, mostly nearby LGBTQ+ community center in our city. I encourage you to all reach out to myself or Kim, me, to execute this plan, as I think an official flag-raising ceremony would be a meaningful event for many members of our community. Thank you for your consideration of these words. I cannot describe how important it is to me that my city and government recognize and support the LGBTQ+ community.
Thank you.
That is all. Thanks.
Hi, good evening, council.
Good evening.
I am not from here. I am from Canada. I drove up here in support of Boomer because I believe he's innocent.
Thank you.
I have been following the story.
What's your name, miss?
I'm sorry?
What's your name?
I'm sorry. I'm nervous. Francie Shadoff.
Welcome,
I'm from
Francie.
Niagara Falls. Thank you. Thank you. I have been following the story. I do have a similar breed, so I do know what it's like to be wrongly accused of of things just because of what the breed it is and everything else. But back to Boomer's case, I know that it was in a no-kill. I'm so sorry. I know that it is in a no-kill shelter, and I'm wondering why, if that's the case, why they want to go ahead and destroy the dog. I need water. And also, Boomer was neighbors with Chubbs for quite a long time, I was told. And if he was going to attack the dog, you would think that he would have done it instead of waiting 2 years afterwards. And as it was also stated that there was no blood, he was protecting over Chubbs. And also, sorry. The neighbor who originally stated that she saw Boomer attack later then stated that she did not. So it was brought to that as attention as well. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry, I'm too nervous.
You did a good job.
Thank you for listening to me.
You did fine. Thank you. Good evening. Welcome back.
Do you really mean that? Are you
Of course.
sincere?
Yes, of course. Welcome back.
Okay, good evening. And I hope you all had a lovely Easter. And welcome back, Mrs. Scott.
Thank
I
you.
wish you a lovely smile the last few weeks.
Thank you.
Glad you're recuperating.
Yes,
And God bless you.
thank you so much.
Could you remind me your name?
You know my name. My name is Sharon. You've heard it hundreds of times. I live in Sterling Heights, Michigan, and you'll probably be hearing it many more times. I'm from Sterling Heights, Michigan, and I had a great Easter, but it would have been better if Boomer would have been free. I thought about him all day, caged up and away from his home and his family and his dad, and it made me very, very sad. I don't know why this dog can't be free. He's really being blamed for something he didn't do, and there is no proof that he did, and if so, I would like to see it. I think that would be respectful. If someone has something on this dog, that they could share it with all of us, which it probably wouldn't make any difference. Things are starting to get nasty, and I don't like that. Protesters are being watched and harassed and given out $150 tickets. And I just want the people to know that that's not going to stop us. We're going to be here until Boomer is free, and it's only going to make us stronger. Absolutely. So if the police chief wants to give tickets to us, bring them on. Because we'll fight them or we'll pay them. Like Michael had to go and pay a $150 ticket, which was ridiculous. And people have rights, animals don't. And at least I feel that way about it in this city. I wished animals had rights in this city and all around the world. Some do, some don't. So tomorrow we will be in court.
all of us, for Sterling, a dog who was beaten and murdered by a nut job. News is, he gets 9 months and 22 days. Boomer's already been punished more than this moron that killed Sterling. And he's killed a dog, and he's getting 9 months and 22 days, so the judge says. How ridiculous is that? And Boomer's on death row, sitting there for all this time, and he's done nothing. It's just saddening. And not only that, I'm here at every chance that I can be. I'm old. Today I walked this place for 3 hours picketing for that dog until my knees hurt so bad I couldn't stand up anymore. But that's okay, they're rested now, and I'll be back again. And I'll be back here again. So would you please help me out and make my knees better? By letting Boomer go free, for God's sakes. Let this poor animal go home.
Thank you, Sharon. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Catherine Nice, and I'm from Monroe, Michigan.
Hi, welcome, Catherine.
Hi. I come to advocate for Boomer as well as with my group here. And I feel the same exact way she was explaining it. Why can't we just let this dog at least go somewhere besides a kennel? He's innocent in my book. He's innocent because I don't see any proof that anybody showed me. Why can't you guys show us proof of why you're blaming him for killing the dog? He didn't have any blood on him. I had to eat White Castles for dinner today when I could have had a roast. I'm not complaining, but I come here because of an innocent dog. I would never do that if I didn't think the dog was innocent. So if you could find it in your hearts to talk to people, to even look up boomer.com and get yourself educated on the dog story, you'll see. If you can read,
Thank you.
You might see what we're thinking and how we feel about Boomer. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Robin Sheehan. I have a note here from somebody who lives in Jackson, Michigan that can't be here, but I would like to say something for myself.
Please.
My name's Robin Chan from Wyandotte, Michigan. Last council meeting, this young lady, we were shown where you guys talked about singing off. Actually looked like a lot of fun. Like, wow, this city could be fun. She was grateful. She earned $1,200 for the arts program. Imagine what $13,000 could do for her arts program. Think about it. I listened to a great presentation, and I had questions for him. He answered them. He was very, very knowledgeable. Think about what $13,000 could do to your abused kids in the city of Madison Heights. What about in the news? The sex trafficking. Okay? 2 cop cars in the front on 13 Mile Road for over a half hour to write 1 ticket for peaceful, remind you, protesters. Why? Harassment is not cool. That's what this is turning into. It needs to stop. The chief said to the cop, make sure you tell Rose that I sent you out there to write that ticket. Are you guys asking for a class action lawsuit? Because by golly, I'm ready to start one. This has got to stop. We're here for Boomer. Please, don't let it spread. It's a wildfire. It's going international. People are taking notice. Okay, that's my statement. and I wish you luck. I hope you earn more and more money for your arts program. It's good for the kids.
You have another minute and a half.
What's that?
You have another minute and a half. There's plenty of
Okay.
time.
So this letter is from Heidi Ardent from Jackson, Michigan. She gives her phone number. Do you want that?
That's not necessary.
Okay. This is a terrible tragedy for Chubbs and his family. We all acknowledge that. And my heart breaks for them, but also a terrible tragedy for Boomer and his owner. And to kill the wrong animal is just not right. The evidence leads to a coyote as described of what the picture described. Dogs bite and shake. They do not disembowel another dog. Besides, no blood found on Boomer and no DNA evidence was collected. It was destroyed. The coyote warnings were out there, yet the daughter let 2 dogs outside unattended. Killing Boomer, the wrong predator, will not make this right. The vet and animal control officer say they don't know what animal did this to Chubbs. Again, no blood. If Boomer attacked Chubbs, there would be blood. So I don't understand with all this, why is he being held and sentenced to death? The amount of money being spent and the taxpayer money is ridiculous. And several resolutions have been made, and you say no to all of them. Don't understand this at all. Have you met Boomer? Seen his videos? He's a happy-go-lucky dog who, even being evaluated by specialists, say no aggression at all. So this makes no sense. There has to be a resolution and better way to spend the taxpayers' money. Sex trafficking, parks for the children, robberies, murders, etc. Again, may the supporters' heart breaks for Chubbs. Again, the supporters' heart breaks for Chubbs, but don't kill the wrong animal. Thank you. Again, her name is Heidi Ardent, A-R-N-D-T.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Shelley Emerson, Mount Clemens.
Hi, Shelley.
Hi. If you and I are neighbors and you agree with me, I'm an animal advocate. If we don't agree, I'm an animal activist. I prefer to be an advocate. The only thing I would ask you is, Course in Miracles suggests that the most powerful thing we can do is change our mind. I'm hoping and praying that the time will come where you do change your mind and look into this further and possibly free Boomer. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Roberts. I'm from Warren.
Hi, Carolyn, is it?
Hi, how are you all?
Welcome.
Been here a couple times before. I'm a notice seeker too, so. There's a couple of questions that I had. And when I say you, I don't mean you obviously personally. I mean the city of Madison Heights.
Thanks.
So, it sounds like, I want to go back to the beginning. I want to know why we're just finding out now that the owner of Boomer had to sign a gag order before he had a lawyer. How come he had to sign it? What is so secretive that he had to, I've never heard of that in a dog case. The very beginning when I first heard about this case, before any protest even started, another volunteer and I, Kim, sat down, we went out, sat down, had some dinner, we talked about doing a protest. We asked if we had permission to do it. Before we got home that night, I got a call. I got a call from your current ACO, who I was good friends with, and I volunteered with over at Hazel Park. And he called me to ask me, he said that Suzette, who knows me as well, who could have called me herself, Suzette asked him to call me to shut down any protests before they even happened. We had just talked about it. I haven't talked about this because I've kind of been protecting them on this. But why? Why is this such a big secret? Why is Madison Heights going to such lengths to kill this dog, spending over $13,000, putting a gag order on Boomer's owner, trying to put a gag order on us, putting a gag order on their volunteers, that they weren't allowed to support Boomer, write any letters of support? I don't get it. It's been going on since the very beginning. If they're so in the right, then why is everything so secret? It sounds shady. It does. It really sounds shady. There's something up here. I don't think it's because he's a pit bull. I really don't. I do think it has to do with Chubbs' owners' relationships within the police department. That's my personal opinion. I'm not saying it as that. Well, I also know that she has a relative that was a former Ferndale police officer, too. So I know that she's got affiliations within the police departments. And we know that Ferndale, Hazel Park, and Madison Heights all work together. So this has all been been just covered up from the beginning. The only reason that could be is because something's not right. Something's not right. We know Suzette didn't follow protocol. She didn't secure Chubbs' body, which she should have, if there was going to be a case. She didn't do that. I'm sorry. The blood on the blanket. Yeah, the blanket, is that still available? I mean, I'm going to say that Chubbs' owners are going to say it's not, and our hearts go out to her. They do. I was looking at pictures of Chubbs today. That breaks my heart. But the blanket that she wrapped him in, the pictures she has posted on her Facebook, and this information I'm saying is stuff that I've spoke to people personally about or I've seen personally. None of it's hearsay. So that blanket that she's got that picture, does she have that available? Can we get that tested? Can they get some kind of proof? Because they have none. None. It's just common sense. It's logic. If you look at the way that coyotes kill and the way that dogs kill, it's not the same.
Your time's up, but did you say you had 3 points? I caught 2 of them.
It was about the ACOs. It was about the gag order.
Okay. Well, I got that. Okay.
Yeah, and dead set. Why are you so dead set on euthanizing this dog? It just makes no sense. We can't make sense out of nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello. Yes, hi. I live in this city, but honestly, I'm going to sell my house and I'm bailing from this city. I've been here for over 24 years, and I don't want to be here anymore after this whole nightmare. So anyway, I just want to state a few points. Pretty much everybody who has had a pet has experienced its death. And it's hard, it's horrible. But many of us cannot really empathize with the family of Chubbs because of an animal being killed is much different. It's worse, I'm sure. Okay, so we can't claim to really be able to empathize with them. But I think that I can understand the need to put a face to the culprit who has murdered your pet, just like you would want to put a face to anybody who murdered somebody you love. And it's very easy, I think, to get your arms around and secure something that's very simple, like your next-door neighbor's dog. He was in the backyard, so he can be an easy victim to target as being the predator. But, and I know a couple other people have said that, but, I guess I want to just say, after the ACO clearly stated there was no blood on Boomer, I don't know what animal or dog did this. Why is the city still pursuing this? Why? And it's my understanding that this case was predicated on the initial police report, which said the daughter said Boomer bit Chubbs. And then she changed it during the hearing. And it seems to me that that should have been immediately dismissed at that point. And it wasn't. It just continues and continues with no evidence against Boomer. She said, I don't know what happened to Chubbs. I did not see what went on, were her exact words, according to what I've seen in quotation marks. So, I quite frankly think there's some underhanded corruptness going on. I spoke with Mr. Sherman a few months back before the holiday about the brief that was submitted, from Madison Heights. And one of the comments, because I really wanted to speak to him about what I thought was a lot of contradictory statements. And one of them was one of the first ones that I thought was ridiculous when they say, seeing how this is the first time that Boomer has entered the backyard of the next door neighbor and Chubbs ends up dead speaks for itself. And I'm thinking, what person on this planet could possibly make such a ridiculous statement? How do you know Boomer's never been in the yard? Like somebody said, I believe those families have lived next door to each other for a couple years. Of course, he had umpteen opportunities to do something. So anyway, I'm just going to close with that, saying I'm just becoming more and more disenchanted with everybody here. I'm becoming very disenchanted, and I used to like to live here. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Kay. Welcome.
Welcome. My name is Michael Colvin.
Hi, Mike.
And I'm from Royal Oak. I'm the guy that got the ticket last week. And I knew it was coming. I did, because week after week before then, the cops would come and we would have all these protests, and they come right to me and said, next time you go to jail, or next time you get a ticket. So that Wednesday, I told everyone in the group, I'm going to get a ticket. And what happened? I got the ticket. I didn't know Boomer, and I still don't know Boomer personally. But now I sympathize with Boomer, because he's a guy, I'm a guy. I told you last week I would help anyone, and I'm innocent when what I did. I was helping someone, and I believe Boomer was too. And so I would still would help any one of you guys. I love all you guys. I don't know you guys personally. I would help you all, even you, Mayor. So I'm being honest.
Shouldn't say that.
I God bless all you guys. I think you guys do good work, and I hope the children get all the help they need, because we need to save children, and we need to save Boomer, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Mike. Hi.
Good evening. My name is Linda Kay from Armada.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your name.
Linda Kay from Armada.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you again for having us. We appreciate it. I just want also to say, my Easter, I couldn't even think about anything but Boomer, and that's the truth. I thought about him locked away. I'm sure all of us were enjoying our Easters with our family. We know for a fact, because we are more educated than you might believe. We're not these crazy animal activists. We're doing our homework. We're talking to council. We're getting information. We're going to continue to do that. Every week we're getting stronger. We know for a fact the case can be dropped right here. We know this. You have the ability to do it. We have been extremely respectful. We've been very respectful in the meetings, and I hope we continue to be. We have been very respectful in the protests. I believe what is happening to the people who are showing up from your city, how they're being treated, is terrible. I witnessed it today. But you know what? That's okay, because your two police officers drew a lot more attention to our signs. Stopping 13. I was driving down 13. I'm like, wow, look at all the signage. Oh, good. Okay. It drew a lot of attention to the peaceful protesters. Again, it's been all over, multiple coyote sightings everywhere, every city. This is breeding season, April. They're all over the place. So I'm sure we could send you 100 stories of that. There's also a Facebook story of a border collie running, a little chihuahua was in the path of a car about to be run over by its owner. There was like a house camera. The next door neighbor border collie literally ran and grabbed the little chihuahua enough to get it out of the way to save it. This morning, my own dog, who is, I have pit bull, rescued from Detroit, from fighting rings. Okay? I was outside. Two of my other animals started wrestling, but they were making noises like they were fighting. They weren't. My pit bull jumped right. I mean, he ran to see what was going on between them. And I'm like, why wasn't I able to videotape this? out of concern, he ran to help those other two animals. He didn't go there to hurt them. He went to help them. Also, I'm not sure if you're aware, there is a news anchor from Florida who has taken over broadcasting this case. And he is airing it publicly. He is having live broadcasts, and he is making it very, very public. He is sharing it everywhere. The last time, and I'm sure I have been here before, and my faith is in God. I have lost faith in our justice system, I'm sorry to say. My faith is in God. When I left here last time, I went out, I don't know, that way behind, and I came across your court building. And on your court building, it said, Honorable Judge Hunt. Don't laugh. No, please don't laugh. And I had to take a picture of it because I'm like, okay, I want to look up the word honorable. The word honorable has to do with people and actions that are honest, fair, worthy of respect. An honorable person is someone who believes in truth and doing the right thing and tries to live up to those high principles. A person who is honorable has great integrity and righteousness about them. They will always do the righteous and correct thing.
Linda, your time's up.
Okay.
I don't want you to make the personal attack on the judge, but
I'm
your
not.
point was very well taken. Yeah.
I'm not. And
Okay.
thank you for having us, and I do know they take their oath over a Bible, and the last word of their oath is, so help me God. And in their Bible, there are many things that lead up, that state false accusations. And I wouldn't want to have to answer to God. Thank you for having
Linda.
us.
Thank you. Oh, before there are some doubles, would anyone else like to speak for a first time before we allow any repeat customers? Would you please wait for, let the young lady speak?
This customer will sit down.
Great. Hi, welcome.
Hello. I'm here again today to discuss the release of Boomer. As you know, Boomer has been accused of viciously attacking a neighbor's dog. First, let's consider the facts. I'm sure I'll repeat what has been said, but that's simply to magnify its significance. A coyote warning was released well before the incident and are known to dwell in this area and surrounding cities. Coyotes generally hunt alone. They can climb fences, and they begin their eating process by starting with the abdominal cavity, eating the kidneys, liver, and lungs. According to the witness, Chubbs' innards were exposed in just this manner. Not to mention, Boomer had not one drop of blood on his coat, including his white muzzle and chest. It's absurd to believe that a dog could kill another dog without getting blood anywhere on himself. Lastly, coyotes are known to urinate over their food. If Chubbs' body wasn't cremated so quickly, proper testing could have been done to prove his innocence, including a bite comparison to Boomer's jaw. There just isn't enough proof to condemn this man's best friend to death. Blaming Boomer because the other dog, a Great Dane, was cowering under the deck is one-sided. Why isn't it considered that Boomer was in the neighbor's yard to protect his friends? Friends he's lived next to for over 2 years. Boomer is the type of kind-hearted, loving animal that would try to help his friends. Also, the amount of funds that have been spent to prove Boomer's guilt is unwarranted. This money absolutely should have been used in far more constructive ways. Again, as you know, it is our right to protest and attend these meetings. We attempt to keep things peaceful, but unfortunately seem to let our emotions get the best of us when we feel we are being treated unjust and or provoked. Please know we have good intentions and are simply here to save Boomer. To sum this all up, there just isn't any reason to convict this sweet boy of such a brutal crime. So I ask you today to drop the charges against Boomer and just let him go home.
Thank you. I didn't catch your name.
Tiffany.
Tiffany, thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Mary Ellen Clancy, and I live in Livonia, Michigan. I was here last month for the same reason for Boomer, and I have a CD and a USB that we had discussed showing the video that Christine Falk had made in
Yes, of
Boomer's
course.
honor.
Welcome
Can I
back.
approach the bench with it?
What is it?
The CD
Oh, yeah,
of the video.
I'll accept what you want to give me. We're not playing anything.
I actually just want to say that I'm going to continue following the case, and I hope that all the evidence that is brought forth. One thing that I'd like to add is that I know that a hawk would respond in the same way as far as tearing up the dog's body. So, you know, I just don't think that a pit bull would do that. If they are raised in a loving household, that is exactly how they act. This woman here presented her speech with her dog, and you know, they're just very, very well trained if they're done right. And I don't believe that Boomer is a guilty dog. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary Ellen.
Hi, it's me, Kim, again.
Wait a minute. The rule applies. Has anyone not spoken for a first time? Kim, will you wait a minute? I want to hear from everyone for a first time. Hi, welcome, Emily.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Welcome.
Council. My name is Emily Rohrbach. I live at 28628 Cousins in Madison Heights, and I am a member of the Madison Heights Parks and Rec Board. I'm just reminding everybody that we do have, in addition to the Nature Center cleanup on Saturday, this coming Saturday, April 27th, we have a cleanup scheduled for all volunteers to come out and help us clean up trash from 14 Mile all the way down to 10 Mile on John R. Road. We want to try and clean up that entire stretch throughout Madison Heights. If we get enough volunteers, we've identified other major areas in the city that could use some work as well. So I'm inviting everybody in the city to come out, and everybody on council as well. If you can join us, that would be wonderful. Working together with Gary McGilvery, and he is providing lunch for all of the volunteers, and we will be providing as well coffee and donuts before we get started in the morning on the 27th.
Where's the meeting spot?
We're meeting at Simon's Elementary in the parking lot at 9 a.m. on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other first-time comments? Yeah. Okay, Kim, you can go. You have
Hi, I just wanted to make like one small plea. For Boomers Protectors, I think what you're doing is important. Your activism is important, and how you're protecting Boomer is important. I have a slight scheduling conflict that's going to make me leave here in 10 minutes. I have some very exciting news to share about the arts board today, so I was hoping I might get, if you guys have any new information about Boomer or the case, you could share that. Any ways we can help, maybe share that, but if we can reduce that so that I can get this exciting news out before I have to leave, because we have some people waiting to share it. Thanks.
For the record, there's no limitation on comment. People can speak until the sun rises. Okay. But the meeting's still open to the public. Anyone can speak.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Welcome. I can't remember your name. I'm really sorry.
Really? You can't remember my name? Tracy Stiff.
Sorry, Tracy.
29148 Testmer Court.
Thank you. Of course.
That's okay. I'm sorry I wasn't at the last meeting. Somebody had entrusted me with a week-old litter of kittens. And sadly, about a week into it, one died. And no matter what we did, rescue people came together and helped me and took me to 2 different vets. There was nothing that could be done. Another one died as well. And it broke my soul. It really did. It made me want to stop doing rescue. They were just so little and so innocent. And when thinking about Boomer, I feel the same way, except in my mind, logically, I knew I wasn't at fault, even though my heart felt differently. In your case, it's different, because if Boomer dies, logically, you will be at fault, and you'll all carry that burden, and it's not one you want to have, trust me. Judge Hunt, without defamation, will be the biggest one at fault. And I really think that after all this time and all the evidence that has been brought forward to you, that you could find it in your hearts to not only be good people to send Boomer home, you don't even have to like animals. What about Justin Christopher? Do you like human beings? Because don't you think he cries himself to sleep every night because he doesn't have his dog? I can tell you he does. And Miss Marsh, you can and should ask for a resolution, a decent one. This is in your hands. We're leaving it up to you. And everybody is watching, and I'm tired of people hating my city. I'm tired of not being able to say, hey, I'm from Madison Heights. No, I don't say that at all anymore to anybody. And it's really sad, because I really used to like living here, and I was proud. I raised my family here. I just think this money can be spent in much better ways. Our children, our elderly, they need it. Not on putting a dog to sleep. Please find it within your hearts, and if not your hearts, your conscience. Don't let this dog's death be on you. You won't recover from it. That I can promise you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Good night.
Good night.
Just to kind of like pick up from where Tracy left off about, do you not think Mr. Christopher cries at night? There has been a lot of disparaging comments made about the dog, about Mr. Christopher. Somebody mentioned in a Facebook posting they should just put him down too. And one of the actual officials of this city told him to just get another dog. What's the big deal? They're only $300 or $400. You know what? Nobody should be allowed to talk that way to anybody. And I really do hope the federal judge does something about that. That should not be allowed. I know regardless of what your position is with the city, you should never be allowed to say that to a man whose dog's life is on the line. I have never been able to get over that. And I do want to say, as far as being victims are concerned, one of the other things I remember reading in that brief was, this honorable court does not appreciate the defendant trying to make himself out to be the victim. Well, you know what? It's quite obvious that the family of Chubbs is unequivocally the victims. But let me tell you, folks, Mr. Christopher is indeed a victim. That man has been living a effing hell for the past year because of Madison Heights. He's been living a hell. He is indeed a victim. Thank you to the prosecution. So, you know what, I just, we know he's being badgered, he's going to court tomorrow. It's like, do you enjoy running people into the ground? That's what you are doing. You are trying to destroy that man and break him. But we're helping him. He will not lose. He's got a lot of people behind him. And you can try to break Mr. Christopher and dig him right into the ground. It's not going to work. We will protect and we'll fight. Thank you. Thank you.
Does anyone have anything else to say? Just for the record,
what this gentleman said here. My
just
daughter.
remind us your name.
I'm sorry?
Just for the record.
Carolyn
state your name
Roberts.
again. Thank you.
Formerly of Madison Heights, now Warren. My daughter and her family live here in Madison Heights. She's a huge animal advocate. She does a lot of rescue work, does a lot of volunteer work. She doesn't want to come to these meetings specifically for the very reason that this gentleman mentioned. She's afraid she'll get targeted, just like other people have been targeted. She lives here. She doesn't want her dogs taken away unjustly. And the second thing, back to some of the balls were dropped where Suzette didn't preserve the body of Chubbs. And then when they also went and seized Boomer illegally, what, 2 weeks later, a couple weeks later, I could be wrong on the timeline there, but showed up weeks later and illegally seized him without a warrant. They dropped lots of balls, and this dog didn't even do it. There's something wrong. There's something wrong going on here. Thank you.
Thank you. Has anyone not spoken for the first time? A show of hands. Has anyone not spoken for the first time? You should be given the opportunity.
My name is Martha Bailey. I'm from Shelby Township.
Welcome, Martha.
And I have to say, I'm certainly glad I don't live in Madison Heights. That would make me very nervous. Just a couple of things, I'm very brief. Here we have cops ordered by the chief of police. And by the way, Rose, you were very kind. I had words to say about the chief of police. I've never seen such a disgusting mess in my life. But anyway, are you aware that the chief of police ordered these cops out there to give tickets, but yet again, he's ordering us to be harassed? But are you aware of how far down Madison Heights is on the safest city in the country are? You're way low. You're down to about 82. But you've got cops sitting out here babysitting us. And we're all peaceful. We're not going to hurt anyone. Nobody's carrying a weapon. Nobody's going to do anything. No sex trafficking. We're not trying, are we? Anyway, and furthermore, I do believe you may not have the power to do some things, but the power that I think you do have is to do an investigation on this chief of police and this Judge Hunt, because there's something very wrong here. There's no evidence to convict this dog. There's no evidence to put Justin through this. Furthermore, I heard he was going to have to be in court tomorrow because this judge wants to go after him again. So there's something going on that we do not know about. And I guess we will find out. I hope we find out soon. But there's something way more sinister than we even know about yet. But why waste cops' time? But why waste the cops' time and money? Isn't there crime to fight out here? I hear there is. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you,
and
Mrs. Bailey.
I'm going to be very careful and get back to the Quinter in a hurry.
All right. Last call for anyone who has not spoken. We'll do first-time comments. All right, no one else is asked to be recognized. We close this portion of the meeting. We can continue on to reports. There are 4 reports tonight. The first one is from the Arts Board regarding the mural project. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
Yes, and I also have a video, so if you bear with me a minute, I will play that while I make my comments, and then the chairman of the Art Board is here as well as the artist. So, at the regular council meeting of November the 12th, council was presented with an agenda item report outlining the Arts Board's mural initiative, with the first mural planned for Civic Center Park Shelter Building. The Arts Board issued a call to artists that resulted in proposals from 8 artists. These were all reviewed at a special Arts Board meeting. The Arts Board unanimously selected a Madison Heights resident, Jennifer Ramirez, who I think is with us tonight, to create our very first mural in Civic Center Park Shelter Building for a cost not to exceed $892. The board believes it was very fitting that a Madison Heights resident completes the first mural, and the art that she creates will be an eye-catching display. It's being displayed on the screen. That'll draw people to Civic Center Park. The board plans to hold promotional events during the creation of the mural, and the mural is scheduled to be completed in time for the pre-4th of July festival in the park. So we would respectfully ask that council receive and file this report and join the board in congratulating Jennifer Ramirez as she embarks upon creating the city's first of many public displays of art. And I think Jennifer and Kim are both present on the topic.
Great.
We
Floor is
actually
yours.
said everything I was going to say already. So I apologize if I was out of line in the public hearing, but I know that Jennifer can't stay long, and I wanted to make sure that she was recognized while we were still here. So did you have anything you wanted to say? Sure.
Welcome. Congratulations. Your work is really inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity. A special thanks to Kim and Lori. Very, very excited. I have been a high school art teacher for 23 years, and I'm looking at, maybe retiring in 2 years, and I have always wanted to be a mural artist. And so when I heard about this, call for designs, I jumped at it. Not only is it in my town, it's something that I want to do, so I am so excited for this opportunity. I think my reaction when Kim called me, it was, so thank you so much. I am very eager to start and finish, and thank you.
Well done. Thank you so much. Okay, we can continue on with reports. Item D2 is from the Finance Director. It's the contract for assessing services. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
Yes, since July 2011, the City of Madison Heights has contracted our assessing services to Oakland County Equalization. The current 3-year agreement expires on June 30th, and Oakland County Equalization has proposed a renewal contract for an additional 3-year term. This proposed renewal is essentially the same contract as before, with a 1% per parcel increase for each of the 3 years. This equates to $6,000 over the 3-year term, so roughly $2,000 a year. Oakland County Equalization provides assessing services for approximately 32 communities and is proposing this 1% cost increase to all of those entities. This contract has been reviewed and approved by the city attorney. Staff and I recommend that council approve this proposed assessing services contract with Oakland County Equalization from July the 1st, 2019 through June the 30th, 2022, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign on behalf of the city.
Thank you. What's the wish of City Council on this matter?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I think we're comatose, I think is what the problem is.
Revive us, please.
I would move that we approve as the recommended contract for assessing services with the Oakland County Equalization Department. The term of the contract will be July 1st, 19 through July 30th, 2022, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign on behalf of the city.
Very good, thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor?
Mrs. Scott?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Scott. A motion was made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilwoman Scott, to approve the proposed assessing services contract with Oakland County Equalization for a term from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2022, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to sign on behalf of the city. Is there discussion? Let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. The next report is from DPS. It's the 2019 Summer Maintenance Agreement from with the Road Commission for Oakland County. Mrs. Marsh?
Provided for council's consideration is the 2019 Summer Maintenance Agreement from the Road Commission of Oakland County for 12 Mile, 14 Mile, and John R. from 14 Mile to the Red Run County Drain. Under this contract, the city provides street sweeping, weed and grass mowing, and litter pickup along the county roads. Although no increase in the payment to the city has been included for the last 2 years, the city received a 24.2% increase in 2017, which was directly attributable to the summer street sweeping rate increase from $99 to $155 per curb mile. The 2019 rate reflects the current bid prices solicited by the Road Commission of Oakland County. Staff and I recommend that City Council approve this contract and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign on behalf of the city.
Thank you. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mrs. Scott.
I move for City Council to approve the contract with the 2019 Summer Maintenance Agreement and the Road Commission for Oakland County, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes, Mr. Bliss.
I second.
Thank you. Motion was made by Councilwoman Scott, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bliss, to approve the 2019 Summer Maintenance Agreement between the city and the Road Commission for Oakland County, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign on behalf of the city. Is there discussion? Let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. We have a fourth report. It was added to the agenda tonight. It'll be item D4. It's regarding the tentative agreement with the Madison Heights Firefighters Union. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Corbett.
I move that the council approve a tentative agreement between the city and the Madison Heights Firefighters Union for the term July 1, 2018 through June 30, 2021.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Scott?
second.
Thank you. A motion was made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilwoman Scott, to approve the tentative agreement between the city and the Madison Heights Firefighter Union for a term of July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2021. Is there discussion? Okay, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. Next on the agenda will be bid awards or purchases. We have 3 for discussion. The first is regarding the ADA wheelchair swing platforms. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
In accordance with the City Council Goal Q, add wheelchair swing ramps to city parks, $10,000 was budgeted in the current fiscal year for the purchase and installation. Staff issued a request for proposal, and a single proposal was received by the deadline from Play Environments Design of Holland, Michigan. Play Environments Design was the lowest responsible builder for the recent swing set project and proved excellent to work with, extremely responsive, and provided a quality finished product. Therefore, staff and I recommend that council award the bid for ADA wheelchair swing platforms to the sole responsible bidder, Play Environments Design of Holland, Michigan, in a total project cost of $12,000, which would be option 1. Funding to cover this additional $2,000 overage is available within the recreation budget.
Thank you. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Corbett.
So I move that the council award the bid for an ADA wheelchair swing platform to the sole responsible bidder, Play Environments Design of Holland, Michigan. Total project cost of $12,000. It's $2,000 in excess of the original allocation. However, there is $2,000 within the recreation budget that is so allocated.
Thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Mr. Bliss?
I second.
Thank you, sir. Motion was made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bliss, to award the bid for the ADA wheelchair swing platforms to Play Environments Design of Holland, Michigan, and a total project cost of $12,000. That was option 1. Funding to cover the $2,000 overage, if available in the Recreation Department budget. Is there any discussion from City Council?
Couple, Your
Yes,
Honor, just a couple of points. Thank you very much to staff. It's was appreciated. This is one of those things where we talked about ADA components within the recreation, a redesign and the upgrade of parks. It was important to council and members of the community, and it was reflected in the work of staff to incorporate the facilities, the additional facilities for children of varying handicaps and limitations. So I think I think it goes to a point that we've made in the past couple of weeks, Councilman Bliss and myself, about the need to make sure that ADA compliance is an integral component of any of the work we do going forward in the neighborhoods and in the parks and so on. And it need not be, expense is not necessarily a barrier. A couple of $1,000 really was what stood at the end, but I know what I know what it took to get to that point. It was $2,000 at the end with no small amount of research and aggravation. But that was just a tribute to the work of Mrs. Marsh, Mr. Vitale, and the staff. So thank you to all. I very much appreciate the work, and I strongly support the request, sir.
Thank you. Other comments?
Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Just really quick, I want to echo the sentiment that Councilman Corbett had just expressed. Staff worked really hard on this. I know the Parks and Rec Board were strong advocates of it, but I also want to highlight that Councilman Corbett has been a strong advocate of this, and if it wasn't for both his insistence and the vision to be able to put this forward, I don't know that we would be sitting here today. And so he's very modest and gives a lot of credit all across. As I'm sure there is some that's shared, but Councilman Corbett was the driver behind this, and he should absolutely be recognized.
Thank you for that. Other comments? Just like I told
Mr.
you to
Mayor?
say it. Yes, please.
I too would like to echo the sentiments of Mayor Pro Tem Bliss and thank Councilman Corbett for this. I was just curious, and I thought the general public should be aware. Are these wheelchair swings only for children, or could adults use them as well?
What is the weight limit?
I saw it, but I don't remember.
I don't know the exact weight limit offhand, Mr. Mayor, Council, but the picture you even see in the packet has an adult with disabilities in it, so I don't believe that's going to be a concern at all.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other comments from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I just want to add that Councilman Corbett looked pretty good in the newspaper, too, in the picture.
You like the hat there,
Very
Councilman?
charismatic, yeah. I like that.
Very good. Other discussion? All right, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. The next item is F2 from DPS. It's the water and sewer services. Mrs. Marsh?
Before the city was incorporated, Sunday Building has been providing contractual underground water and sewer services for the city with a hybrid arrangement, which means the contractor worked with city staff together on our water main projects and sewer general maintenance throughout the city. While periodic checks have been made which continually indicate that the city's pricing with Sunday Brothers is extremely favorable, a formal contract has never been put into place. Due to the amount of money spent on these services on an annual basis and incorporating good administrative practices, staff prepared an invitation to bid for these services. 4 sealed bids were submitted by the deadline. Firms submitted unit prices for 61 different items for a 5-year period. Staff used estimated quantities to quantify the bids, and it became evident that Sunday Brothers continues to be the most favorable priced option. That, coupled with Sunday Brothers' extensive knowledge of our infrastructure, make this the logical and most economical choice. Therefore, staff and I recommend that council award the contract for DPS water and sewer services to Sunday Building of Royal Oak, Michigan for the unit prices specified. Funds are budgeted and available for these contractual services.
Thank you, Mrs. Marsh. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I move that the council approve the proposed contract for DPS water and sewer services to Sunday Building Company of Royal Oak, Michigan for unit prices which were specified in the recommendation. Additionally, the funds are budgeted and available for contractual services.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Gettings?
Support.
Thank you, sir. Motion was made by Councilman Gettings, motion was made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilman Gettings, to award the contract for DPS water and sewer services to Sunday Building Company for the unit prices specified. Is there discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Mr. Gettings?
Yes, sir. Just want to say that this company used to be Sunday Brothers, have been around a long time, as the report shows, and they're so important to the city, kind of like the city attorney. They have so much knowledge and going back so far that, not that anyone's not irreplaceable, but Sunday Brothers have brought a lot of good service to the city for 70 years, and I'm glad we're going forward with them, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Corbett?
I was just going to say that Sunday, this area was one area. This area of the budget was something that about 4 or 5 years ago, myself and a couple other members of council had indicated should be bid more often. And it's one of those things, you say that, but you're hoping that it ends up being the same company again, because we really have just had great service. But at some point, you can't simply extend and renew contracts. It has to be put out for review within the bidding structure. And I'm glad it worked out. Sunday has been, as Councilman Gettings said, a reliable partner with the city for many, many years. They have devoted countless hours and have done an awful lot of work above and beyond simply what the contract might have called for at different times. So, I mean, they're running a business, but they've been very good to the city also, and I'm glad that we did go through the bid process and it just happened to end up back with them again. I think it was convenient. It worked out well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Other comments?
Your Honor?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Bliss?
Just really quick, I think it's worth noting, I mean, we're talking about the quality and the history of this company that provided the bid, but I do want to highlight that the bid itself is significantly below the other bids. And so the city is receiving a significant cost savings versus other contractors who did bid. In some cases, a couple $100,000 difference, which makes a lot of difference and is important to our residents that we are going with both the most qualified, but also the lowest bid in this case.
Thank you. Mrs. Scott?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I may be wrong, but I believe that Buster Sunday, who's a large part of that company, was a Lanphier graduate. And I believe he started his business in Madison Heights and did a personal job for my son when sprang a water leak when he was away on vacation. So they personally are very good and very beneficial to our city. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments?
Your Honor, not to beat a horse which is already dead, but to Mr. Bliss's point, I think it was really the combination of their intimate knowledge of the city, of its infrastructure, that maybe contributed to their ability to accurately bid the project. I mean, they literally have known many of our water mains and just lines, and whenever we've had a major failure, they've known how to fix it. So, yeah, the citizens, I think, as you say, are getting the benefit of a substantially lower bid, but I think that is informed by their many years of experience, too. So that's all, sir. The horse is now allowed to go to pasture. Mix a few more metaphors.
Any other comments? All right, let's vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. The next item is F3, regarding the Parks and Recreation vehicle number 475, its replacement. Mrs. Marsh?
In early March, a Parks Division pickup was involved in an accident and was deemed a total loss. The cash value of this vehicle is $11,100, and that will be paid to the city, as well as the high bid salvage amount of $2,600. Staff and I recommend that council approve a replacement vehicle for this pickup from Signature Ford of Owasso, Michigan, through the Macomb County competitive bid process. It's a 2019 Ford F-250. and funding for the necessary fitting, which would be a plow, a bed liner, two-way radio, and safety lighting, in a not-to-exceed amount of $36,000. A budget amendment will also be required by a separate motion, and that requires 5 votes of council.
Thank you, Mrs. Marsh. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mrs. Scott?
I move for council to approve the replacement purchase of a 2019 Ford F-250 from Signature Ford of Owasso, Michigan through the Macomb County Cooperative Purchasing Bid and funding for the necessary upfitting, which is a plow, bed liner, two-way radio, and safety lighting, in a not-to-exceed amount of $36,000.
Thank you. We'll take that motion first. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor.
Mrs. Grafstein?
Support.
Thank you. Motion was made by Councilwoman Scott, seconded by Councilor Grafstein to purchase a 2019 Ford F-250 from Signature Ford through the Macomb County Cooperative Purchasing Bid and funding to include the necessary upfitting in an amount not to exceed $36,000. Is there discussion from council?
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
So, in reading this, I understand that there was an accident that effectively totaled the previous vehicle. In the report, and I could be reading this wrong, so let me just confirm with staff. It says that the cash value of $11,100 was paid to the city. So is the total cost of purchasing the new one $11,000 more than the $36,000? You know, how is that factoring in, or do we need less budget because we received that $11,000?
Mayor?
Yes.
You actually need less budget because you factored that in, so it's actually an additional $22,300 outgo from the city. But you have to do a budget amendment for the $36,000 because that comes out of the expense, and the $11,000 goes in as a revenue. So it's kind of just an accounting. But the actual money addition is only $22,000 because you have to add the $11,100 plus the $2,600 we get for selling the damaged vehicle or the totaled vehicle from the $36,000.
Okay, so the purchase, the actual expenditure is going to be $11,000 less.
Yeah, well, the actual expenditure is $36,000, but it's offset by the revenue of $11,100 and the revenue of $2,600.
Okay. It's been a long meeting, so, sorry.
That's a good question. Any other comments? All right, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries. We have an ordinance for consideration tonight. It's item G1.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there is a second part to that. Thanks for reminding me.
No, Your Honor, if you will, I'll move that the council approve a budget amendment
Right.
for the previously cited 2019 F-250 in the amount of $36,000.
Yep, thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Grafstein?
Support.
Thank you. Motion was made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilor Grafstein to pass a budget amendment for the amount of $36,000. Note, this does require 5 affirmative votes to be passed. Is there any discussion? Okay, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Now we can go on to item G1 ordinances. There's an ordinance for consideration. It's number 2137. It's the second reading of the Do Not Knock Registry. Mrs. Marsh?
Goal Proposal BB is to establish a no-knock registry that will restrict certain vendors, peddlers, and solicitors from door-to-door sales at their homes. Not all solicitors will be subject to this ordinance. Exempted solicitors include scout troops, religious groups, and some charitable and political groups protected by the U.S. Constitution. Residents will request to be placed on the no-knock registry, and a list will be distributed to those seeking a vendor, peddler, or solicitation permit. As requested by City Council at the last meeting, the City Attorney has reviewed the no-knock ordinance to consider including handbills in the addition to commercial solicitations. After review, Assistant City Attorney Jeff Sherman has concluded that the handbill issue is referenced in a new ordinance, but since the distribution of handbills raises First Amendment issues, it will remain governed by our current handbill ordinance and existing case law. The ordinance has had some amendments made since the first reading, and those are outlined in red. They are relatively insignificant in nature, and city staff recommends approving ordinance number 2137, the Do Not Knock Registry, on second reading.
Thank you, Mrs. Marsh. What's the wish of City Council?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Corbett?
I move that the council approve on second reading ordinance 2137, otherwise known as the Do Not Knock Registry.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor?
Mrs. Scott?
I support.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Scott. Motion was made by Councilman Corbett, seconded by Councilwoman Scott, to approve on second reading ordinance number 2137, the Do Not Knock Registry. Is there discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just a real quick point. I appreciated at the last meeting, Mr. Bliss included a question whether or not the issue of the Tribune papers and so on. I understand Attorney Sherman's point. I'm not sure that the existing handbill and littering ordinances may not be sufficient. I guess, well, despite what people may think, maybe I just need to file a complaint like any other citizen and perhaps have it work that way then and have it looked into. But anyway, the point being is that I think the ordinance is fine as constructed, and I would certainly recommend approval. And one more time, thank you to Mrs. Prince, whose office originally suggested the adoption of this ordinance. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Are there other comments?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Mr. Bliss.
Just really quick. So I support this ordinance. I do think, though, as Councilman Corbett noted, that in the legal review of that question of unsolicited commercial literature being dropped off physically on somebody's property, I would like us to go through a similar process of reviewing our handbill ordinance. I know that there are some very specific First Amendment issues, but I'm sure that we can strengthen it, particularly with regards to commercial entities that, in most cases, have not gotten a permit for distribution. So in those cases, I do want us to be very specific. I want there to be potentially stronger penalties, whatever is the max that we can enforce, and then allow our citizens to have a little bit more weight. So when they do complain, as Councilman Corbett noted, I want it to mean something and I want it to go somewhere. So if we can review that at a future council meeting, I'd love to see it.
Thank you. Are there other comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
If it's ready at this point, could I have the city manager expound upon how our citizens would be able to get on that registry so that they are part of that Do Not registry? Do we have anything in place at this point?
I'll defer to Cheryl Prince. I don't think we have it up and going today, but it's coming shortly.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
They simply have to call the city clerk's office and request to be registered on that, or send us a little note saying they want to be on it. And we're going to be, it's just simply an Excel spreadsheet that we're keeping of the names and addresses that will be handed to anybody that gets a commercial solicitation permit from the office.
Thank you very much.
Other comments? All right, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. There's no unfinished business this evening. However, we do have one set of minutes from April 8th, 2019. What's the wish of City Council?
Your Honor?
Yes.
I move that we adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of 4/8/19 as printed.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Mr. Corbett?
Support, sir.
Thank you. Motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Bliss, seconded by Councilman Corbett to adopt as printed the minutes from the regular meeting of 4/8/19. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
Mr. Mayor,
Motion carries. Yes.
Since I was not present at that meeting, should I abstain? I did watch it on television, but I don't, if that would
We'll recognize an abstention. You're allowed to vote if you want, but we can also recognize an abstention.
Then I will also like to vote yes.
Okay,
what
we'll
I
record your vote as a
saw.
yes. Thank you for bringing that up. The motion carries 7-0. I don't believe there's any other business tonight. Are there appointments for members of City Council? All right, I don't think there's an executive session scheduled tonight. So before we adjourn, I'd invite any closing comments from members of City Council and staff. Mr. Corbett, would you like to begin?
Couple of items this evening. I wanted to acknowledge actually his job is to keep track of us, Andy Kozlowski, who is the writer for the C&G newspaper. He was awarded a fairly prestigious award last week. His investigations into the spending practices at the Madison School District he did a series, if you recall, of articles. And he was in competition with people like Mitch Albom and a number of other people around the state. The award was through the Society of Professional Journalists. So congratulations to him. That's pretty serious, that particular award. I actually knew about it back in my college years, and because they had a junior division for young people in college and so on. It wasn't me. I wasn't investigating anything, but some of my friends were there doing some stuff on student government. That's what they were investigating at the time. But anyway, it's a great award, and really a lot of honor to a fellow who I know works very hard to keep the residents informed about what's going on in the community. So congratulations to him. I will not be at the library this Friday, but I will the Friday after resume my office hours at the library. So I don't have a calendar. Whatever the first Friday in May is, I will resume 1 to 3. Is it the 3rd, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Yes, sir.
May 3rd. And last but not least, I just want to thank the council for the adoption of the wheelchair, including that in the budget. The wheelchair, that really does, all kidding aside, that really does mean an awful lot to me. I'm glad to see it, and it speaks really volumes about the community. I think that does speak about what the kind of community this is. The kind of things we're doing there in the arts and in the environmental area. But it was really very kind of the council to include that in its budget priority. So that's all tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Bliss?
Yes, Your Honor. So first and foremost, were they investigating you in college?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about.
Congratulations to Andy Kozlowski. He's done a lot of great work covering our city, getting the word out about really anything important going on, and it's really great to see him succeed. I'd also like to give an additional congratulations to Jennifer Ramirez. I've seen her work. My kids go to Edmondson. She has quite a few murals that she did there, and it's really phenomenal. And this concept based around imagination was some of the coolest stuff that we got to sell. Serving on the arts board has been phenomenal for me, because just that passion that every single volunteer in that room has, that enthusiasm is contagious. And when everyone saw Ms. Ramirez's her drawing, what that concept would be, it's like the room fell silent, and everybody just knew that's the one. And it was so phenomenal. And when you think about what the park is going to look like, that transformation, having that entire building done up with 4 unique but concurrent and aligned murals, it's going to be amazing. And I'm really looking forward to inviting the community to participate in some of those public events that were mentioned earlier, as well as I really can't wait to see everybody experiencing it firsthand the night of the fireworks. It's going to be a very, very cool and kind of surreal experience, because as Councilman Corbett said, the direction of the community, the things that we're doing. Sometimes you need to have a physical representation of what you're trying to build, and whether it's the ADA accessible swings, murals in the park, or water bottles, I think all of that shows and signals physically the type of community that we're trying to build. And I'm excited to be able to see that continue to unfold. And were additional submissions, and as the Arts Board has the money to be able to fund it, because remember, none of this is funded with taxpayer dollars. That mural is going up simply because of volunteers and all of the generous donors that we've been able to get. As we get more money, we'll be able to do more and more murals. And so everybody who submitted for this mural but didn't get it, they'll be eligible to resubmit for future mural ideas. So really excited about that. And one notation, we had some really cool stuff that happened in this meeting, but, well, it got empty really fast. So I know it's been brought up before. I think Councilor Grasstein has recommended it. I don't know if we should take on an ad hoc basis, bringing things earlier in the agenda, like the reports, the mural project, or the swing purchases. But I think those would have been great for the audience to hear, instead of it being pushed behind a very, very long meeting. So I'd like us to look at that, whether it's an individual ad hoc basis. I know Jennifer Ramirez probably deserved a little bit more accolades and more time to discuss her project than she was kind of given at that moment in time. So I'd like to see us just reevaluate that, whether it's a formal change in the agenda structure, or we just do it kind of on an ad hoc basis based on the speakers' schedules that are in the audience.
Great. Mr. Gettings, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To steal a quote from a gentleman here in the audience, it's with a heavy heart that we're going to be losing probably one of the best employees I've seen. I started working for the city in '67 in recreation, and I've seen a lot of people come and go. But he's one of the most organized, hardworking, everything you can say about somebody, gets things done. I've been in his office, and I said, will you come over to my house and help me clean it so it can be this organized? Because his bulletin board was just organized papers up there with thumbtacks. He was on top of everything. He's kept the snow removal tradition that's been going on in this city for as long as we've been a city almost. I just feel so bad that we're losing Joe Vitale, because he puts his heart and soul into everything, especially recreation. Joe, I wish the best for you and your family. We're not going to meet again until you're gone. I think it's middle of May, so I just wanted to say some good words about you, because to me, you're one of the best employees we've ever had. It's going to be our loss, but I hope you and your family, it works out great for you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Sherman?
Mr. Mayor, I've already discussed privately with Mr. Vitale. I wish him luck with his new opportunity. Other than that, nothing further this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Marsh?
I have no comment tonight.
Thank you. Mrs. Prince?
No comments, thank you.
Mrs. Grafstein?
I would like to also congratulate Andy Kozlowski for his award, and wish the best to Mr. Vitale in his new ventures. I appreciated everything he's helped me with the last year, getting the ECC off the ground. We've had our bumps, but I think now that you're leaving, we seem to have it on, so nice timing there. It would have been nice if you'd stayed to see how we got it going, but I appreciate everything that he has helped me with. And I'd like to make a comment on the ADA wheelchair swings. I would like to not have that as something that we appreciate and that we have, but that we just take for granted, that all our parks are accessible for our children and our adults of all abilities. I was in Minnesota a couple of years ago. I was in the Minneapolis area, and I was with my kids. They were playing in the park, and another mother said to me, "What do you notice about this park?" And I said, "I don't know. There's kids playing in it. I don't notice anything about this park." And she said, "The entire park is accessible." And then I looked for it. And the way it was set up, the kids could do everything. There were ramps, there were everything, but they weren't there visually the way that we think of it. They were just part of the landscape, and I would love to have all our parks the same way, so that people don't make a point of saying, "Oh, look, we can go to this park because there is that one swing my kid can use." It's just, "Oh, we can go to any park because any kid can use any of these." I've been working on a few things. Earth Day was today, and the sun is gone, but hopefully everyone was outside on this beautiful day enjoying Mother Nature's sun and not inside using our electricity. I appreciate the work that Mr. Bliss and Mrs. Marsh have done with with getting rid of the water bottles. I'm going to try and not lose my reusable water bottles, which is why I don't usually use them. I just go thirsty. But I am going to use this one, so hopefully you'll see me with this every meeting, and I won't lose that one. One of the things I've been working on has been with youth assistance is doing, they're working with the Sheriff's Department to do a self-defense for young women and their mothers or their aunts or whomever. It's going to be held this Saturday at the fire station, the main fire station. It is being organized by Youth Assistance, so anyone who's interested can contact Deb Lindsay about that. If you are not interested in doing that, you can help out Mr. McGilvery with the nature-centered cleanups that are going along, or on John R., where the other cleanups are going to be happening. And if you're not going to be doing that, there's also the Madison High is having their carnival. So lots of things going on. The last thing that I have been working on has been an impaired driving program for our high school students. The Lamphere High School is having their prom next week, May 3rd, and Madison High is having theirs on the 23rd. And I was talking with Youth Assistance and with the Community Coalition, and we were talking about doing some kind of presentation for the students just to educate them on the dangers and the options, so that you're not driving impaired. And we decided we weren't going to do some kind of presentation, but what we were actually going to do was just see if we could show them a video. So the schools have been sent this video, and the schools have been sent these kits, and we're asking all the students to make a prom promise. And basically the promise is that they are not going to drive while they're impaired, and they are not going to get into the car with someone who has been driving that is impaired. So hopefully, I think the city is going to put that video on their website, and just hopefully, we want all the kids to make it to graduation. This video was it was horrible. It was a young man who was not even driving for even a mile, and he had an accident, but he had been drinking. So just everyone needs to be safe out there, and part of it also is with the legalization of recreational marijuana, which is still for adults. There is no legal limit. There is no safe limit. So don't drink alcohol, don't use marijuana in any way, and then get behind the wheel, because you don't want to take that chance. You don't want to ruin your life. You don't want to ruin your family's life. You don't want to ruin a stranger's life because you were being foolish. Just be safe. And with that, I'll turn it to Mrs. Scott.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Scott.
That's okay.
I was deep in thought. Thank you. Mrs. Scott, please.
Yes, I have a point of order, and I was wondering about the appointments. Were we not going to handle those tonight?
Yeah.
Because I do have some I would like to make. I know that's...
Of course. Yeah, that's always allowed. Yeah,
All right.
if you'd like to make a nomination, of course.
Yes, well, serving on the Historical Commission, I have personally talked to these 4 people, and they were at our meeting last week, and they have all verified that they would be willing to be reappointed in their terms. So I would like to make a motion to reappoint Martha Kehoe, Deliza Lee, Anthony Bliss, that's Mayor Pro Tem's dad, and Justin Suarez for another 3-year term expiring February 28th, 2022.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, is there support?
Support, Mr. Mayor.
Your Honor,
For Mr. Gettings, support, thanks. Yeah, Mr. Bliss?
if we could take the 3 and then the 1 separate, because I will have to abstain from reappointing my father to that board, so.
All right, is that fine, Mrs. Scott, to?
Yes, that's fine, it's agreeable.
3,
Yes, sir,
Mr. Gettings, okay. All
Should
right,
I restate the motion then?
I'll restate it.
Okay.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Scott, seconded by Councilman Gettings to appoint the 3 following people to the Historical Commission: Martha Kehoe, Deliza Lee, and Justin Suarez. This will be for a 3-year term expiring February 28, 2022. Is there discussion on these 3 people? All right, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Is there a motion regarding Mr. Bliss?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mrs.
I
Scott.
would like to reappoint Mr. Anthony Bliss to a 3-year term expiring February 28, 2022 for the Historical Commission.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Gettings?
support.
Thank you. A motion was made by Councilwoman Scott, seconded by Councilman Gettings, to appoint Anthony Bliss to the Historical Commission for a 3-year term expiring 2/28/2022. I'll recognize the abstention from the Mayor Pro Tem. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just one comment, and that is that Anthony Bliss was serving on the Historical Commission before Mayor Pro Tem Bliss was elected to City Council. So that's the reason why it does not violate our anti-nepotism ordinance.
Thank you. Are there other comments? Let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And there's 1 abstention. Motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Scott, for bringing that up.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
May I also, I noticed there is a lady named Nellie Brown whose term is expiring for the Multicultural Relations Advisory Board, and I would like to make a motion because she is willing to reappoint her for a 3-year term expiring August 31st, 2021.
Okay, thank you. Is there support for the nomination?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Soltis?
second.
Thank you. Motion was made by Councilwoman Scott, seconded by Councilman Soltis, to appoint Nellie Brown to the Multicultural Relations Board for a 3-year term expiring 8/31/2021. Is there discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
I am not done yet.
I understand.
But I wanted to ask the council if I might have a little extra time since I was absent at the last 2 meetings due to recovery from back surgery. But I would like to stress and thank the council and the mayor and also our treasurer, our city clerk, Cheryl Prince, for writing the condolence resolution for William Dale. And if I might read it, it is with a profound sorrow that the Madison Heights Mayor and City Council learned of the passing of William Francis Bill Dale on March 23, 2019. And whereas Bill was the beloved husband of Kathleen for 56 years, with whom he had a son Timothy and daughter Barbara, and was a loving grandfather of Quinn, their children and grandchildren have brought them many memories of pride, joy, and happiness throughout the years. And whereas Bill served our country honorably as a member of the United States Army from 1955 to 1958 and was stationed in Japan, and whereas Bill was a long-term resident of Madison Heights and very active in the community. He was a member and past president of the Madison Heights Rotary Club and was named Rotarian of the Year in 2005. He was a member and volunteer for the United Methodist Church of Madison Heights and volunteered many hours of service to the Madison Heights Optimist Club and the Madison Heights Youth Assistance Committee. He served on the Zoning Board of Appeals for 16 years and the Police and Fire Retirement Board for 11 years and was named the Madison Heights Community Roundtable Volunteer of the Year in 1989. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Madison Heights do hereby extend the community's condolences to the family of William Francis Bill Dale and hope that his dedication to his family, enduring love, support, and strength that he shared in his lifetime will comfort and console them. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to his family as a token of our sympathy and as a lasting tribute of love and respect. And Mr. Mayor, I personally presented that to the family at his funeral. So I want to thank how much Bill Dale meant to our city and how much of an influence he had. And I have some other items too, if I may.
Yes, please.
First of all, I would like to thank all the messages, cards, and well wishes that I received during my recovery of my second back surgery on March 18th, especially to my dear husband, Jack, who was my caretaker for all that time. He was my strength and reason to recover, and I applaud him for getting through all of my stress and complaints, unjustified, that he lived through for over a month. I applaud that. I also like to mention that the Historical Commission is very exciting. We'll be sponsoring a loving memorial for our recently deceased and devoted member, Joy Davids. The family has chosen a Sunday afternoon on June the 9th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. in our heritage rooms in the lower level of City Hall. We will be honoring Joy's longtime contribution to our city history of not only Madison Heights, but also Hazel Park as well. Her family and friends will be here to greet you, and we'll have a special presentation at 3 o'clock that day. It will be free admission, but of course we always encourage people to make donations in her name when they're there. I think it will be a wonderful event and a beautiful tribute for our former member, Joy Davids. Her family will be there to greet you. Also, I wanted to remember the citizens that we will have a budget hearing on April 29th at 6:30 p.m. and it will also be televised, so I would like to welcome everybody to come that night. That's a week from today. Also, if I might do a couple personal notes, I would like to wish a happy belated 18th birthday to our grandson, Corey Johnston, who is a senior at Lanphier, and his birthday was April the 9th, but I wasn't here. So I want to applaud Corey as he's worked very hard. He's been accepted to 4 colleges, and he's earning 4 scholarships. But I wanted to say also that I know some of the people read on Facebook that I was at a conflict tonight because I missed his game when he was pitching, but I do have the wonderful news that they won that game tonight 4-3, Lanphier versus Lakeview. So congratulations, Corey, and all the players. And last but not least, I want to say a very happy birthday to my dear husband, Jack Scott, who's sitting here in the audience, for tomorrow, April 23rd. He looks a lot younger than his age, and I appreciate and love him very much. And thank you for all your support. Thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Welcome back, Mrs. Scott. Mr. Soltis?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess for Joseph, I don't think I've said it enough, but thank you. We've worked together for about 11 years, and like the councilman said, you have that perfect balance of professionalism, but also you understand how to communicate, and you understand our role as a government and public service. And you've said it before. I mean, you are the face of the city to most of our residents most of the time. Roads, water, parks, streets. I mean, it's amazing how many contacts you and your workers have with our public. And time again, it's what our residents pride themselves on, having a great Department of Public Services, and it takes a great leader, and that was you. But thank you for going above and beyond just the basic duties of doing an awesome job, and always digging in with community service and embracing people who want to help and learn. Just thank you. I'm excited for your next opportunity, and I encourage your growth and encourage you to keep that spirit and that balance of humanity and professionalism. You found it. You know it, and I know that comes from the heart. And of course, Madison Heights, we don't rebuild, we reload, and you have trained a phenomenal team, Corey and others. You recruit new people. It's an important legacy that you have left. But we'll see you at that one more budget meeting, I'm hoping. This is the time of year where our allies from the Vietnam War recognized the fall of Saigon. Saigon fell to communist hands on April 30th, 1975. That started a mass exodus of South Vietnamese to America. If you haven't noticed, Madison Heights has about 200 Asian American businesses. Many of those are Vietnamese businesses. Many of the people that live in Madison Heights are from South Vietnam. They were our allies during the war. And every year, at the end of April, Vietnamese families, especially those in Madison Heights, recognize the fall of Saigon, and they even call it Black April, or Black Remembrance April. It's a very sad time where they think of their homeland and how it fell into the enemy's hands. Last year, the Vietnamese American Association of Michigan hosted a really nice ceremony in our fire hall. Thank you to the firefighters for hosting that. But this year they're hosting it in another city. But they have asked me and City Council to issue another proclamation simply recognizing the history of South Vietnam and America, especially how the troops were allies, and just to recognize Black April for its historical world significance and how it has impacted immigration and business community in Madison Heights. So if we could have some proclamation, there is a ceremony next week that I'll be attending. With that, I don't believe there's any other business for us tonight. So, meeting is adjourned. Good evening.